I'm thrilled that the In Your House brand has been resurrected, and I think it's in good hands with NXT. So I hope they continue to use it. Let's get into it. No more standing on ceremony. Let's talk about the pay-per-view. I mean, right from the word go, even leading into the pre-show, we got Todd Pettengill on the program. What did you think of Todd opening things up?
Thank God they brought him back. Whoever's idea that was, give them a raise. I mean, first off, just the build up to this with as far as the promotion side of things, the social media promotion, amazing. Like they on Instagram and all that stuff, they had like these retro graphics that look like the old school posters or the VHS tapes of all the different matches. So I posted those on our social handles at In the Kliq, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check those out. But just like the retro feel, the bright colors and the text, all that stuff. Even a few days ago, they had a video package using the old Raw is War theme song, and it's like the old school like VHS tape, like TV camera footage. It was just so good. So all this just got me super hyped. But Todd Pettengill himself, he's I think someone who doesn't get enough love. Maybe
I agree.
Listen, Mean Gene '1 will always be #1. There's a lot of the commentators who do stuff with the company still, but Todd Pettengill, someone when he left in the 90s, he kind of just disappeared. And listen, he had a very successful career in radio. For anyone who doesn't know, he was part of a long-time morning show, a couple morning shows in New York City, PLJ. So don't get me wrong, he's been very successful in his own right in broadcasting. But as far as in the wrestling world, he just disappeared off the face of the earth. So for him to have him come back, when you think of In Your House, I definitely think of him. So
absolutely, literally giving away that house, and just the thing with Todd that I agree with you that he's underrated. You go back and watch him. There was nothing that he wasn't 100% bought in on. He was completely selling out, and I mean that in a good way, just to complete sort of like, I'm doing this, and I believe it. I'm going to make people watching believe it, and he just went full bore with it, and I really appreciate that about Todd Pettengill. And it was you couldn't do this, in my opinion, without having him involved. And he was the first of many sort of throwbacks that we had here. To Johnny Gargano put the photo of Doc Hendricks, and this was a celebration of a sort of forgotten page or pages of some really good wrestling history. And I think and I hope that it will cause people to go back and watch some of the stuff that we're talking about. I love In Your House. So it was so cool to see Todd Pettengill doing his thing. As you alluded to at the top of the program, the promotional considerations with the ice cream sandwiches and the Ica Pro, tonight just felt so fun. And just like such a cool celebration. I had a ball watching this pay-per-view, start to finish. It was just one of those really, really cool events.
Well, and here's the thing, and this goes back to our conversation for Money in the Bank, was WWE, say what you want to say. I mean, they're the biggest company ever. People complain about the product, creativity, whatever, Raw and SmackDown week to week. Who cares? For the sake of this conversation, you got to give them credit. Like this, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania, when their backs are to the wall and maybe things are not working out to what they wanted or planned, obviously, for example, the pandemic that we're living in right now, they come up with some great stuff. And this In Your House concept, bringing it back, awesome. What's that old saying? What's old is new. So for them to tap into something from 25 years ago, I mean, if you think about it, if you're a fan that's like 18 right now in your early 20s, you didn't grow up with In Your House. So this whole concept is new to you. So I think that's great. And then for us who are older, the nostalgia effect is there. We're going to tune in. We're geeking out. We've been smiling ear to ear all night long watching this pay-per-view, or excuse me, the event on the network. So all of it combined, it's such a smart move. And like you said, I hope they keep doing this. I mean, who knows? Maybe make it like a once a year thing for the time being. It could be In Your House somewhere, or maybe play up it for the length of the pandemic, or make it like a summer thing, like every summer NXT TakeOver. But just right out of the gate, seeing Todd Pettengill, but also the fact that they built the house, like an actual house set for the wrestlers to come in and out of. I mean, we talk about like Shawn Michaels flying out on a rope on one of the first ones, but the fact they had the house set there, and that played into the matches later on. We'll get into that, but just overall the vibe felt great. It just felt fun considering all the craziness going on right now in the world, with all the different things going on. Just for the escape that we experienced for these last few hours of watching this takeover. It was just so much fun between the nostalgia, the creativity, all the gags and stuff that they had throughout the show. It was so much fun. I can't thank them enough for doing this.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was just been a ball. So let's talk about the matches, because I think they delivered in the ring and outside of it, as it were, quite a bit here. I thought this was legitimately a fantastic takeover event. We had the 6-woman tag team match to kick things off with Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, Mia Yim taking on Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. I thought this was a really good opener here, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, for them, give those ladies credit, because as we've said many times before in other pay-per-views, it's always tough to go out there and be the first match of the night, but your main job is definitely get the crowd going. Unfortunately, we don't have like a traditional crowd of actual like WWE Universe fans. Instead, we have like the trainees from the Performance Center. But nonetheless, for people watching at home, you got to get us amped up for the whole night of many great matches. So you set the tone.
Yeah.
And these ladies went out there and just kicked ass, hard hitting, 3-on-3, just going back and forth is definitely. I was a little surprised with the finish. I thought the heels were going to win this. I know we didn't do a traditional like predictions beforehand, but I thought the heels were going to go over here, but nonetheless, it's a great match representing kind of like maybe the mid card or the different rivalries outside of the women's title picture. So these are all 6 of these ladies are definitely, I think, will be in the hunt for the title at one point or another in the near future. So it was just a great way just establishing just how deep the women's division is on NXT.
And it felt, again, it felt very in your house to have a 6-person tag match like this. It just, and I thought, like you said, it set a great tone. I thought the presentation of everything, how everything was being shot, they were doing a really good job with it. So yeah, this was a great way to open it. And then we got Finn Balor and Damian Priest, which I know is a match that a lot of people are looking forward to. And I think I thought both guys showed out a lot. It is just such a complete, we continue to see what a contrast of Finn Balor and NXT is versus when Finn Balor was up on the quote-unquote main roster. And he seems re-energized. I am really high on Damian Priest. That spot he took off the steps looked brutal.
Oh my God.
This was a really fun, hard-hitting match. I kind of felt like that they might want to give Damian Priest the nod here, but I understand that they want to keep the Prince going strong as well. But I thought this was really, really excellent too.
Yeah, I think the buildup was a little weak. Like we didn't really see both of them on TV the last few weeks. Like other than was it last month when Finn got attacked and we all thought it was gonna be Walter or Imperium. Turned out to be Damian Priest, and that kind of set up this match here. But they haven't really done too much in the ring as far as the buildup. But nonetheless, they went out there and kicked each other's ass. And as you said, that one spot, Damian Priest falling back, like definitely shades of like Rick Rude hitting the table years ago. So I was like, ouch, just a really big ouch moment right there. I was like, oh my God, that looked painful. But I like the contrast, big man versus little man, which we got a little bit of that, I mean, with Johnny and Keith Lee later on as well. But that dynamic, and I like Damian Priest's finisher, very much, Scott Hall-esque, just type of move. So Damian Priest, I still curious though, where does he go from here? Like, I think this loss is not going to hurt him too bad, but just still moving forward, like, where does he go? Does he still try to go after maybe the NXT North American title? Because I feel like at best that's what he can go for right now, just based on his time on the roster so far. So I think this pay-per-view, which leaves a lot of questions of where people are going to go moving forward. Let's watch this Wednesday. I'm curious to see what comes to fallout from all of this. But the match itself still awesome, and Finn Balor, I just love this ruthless side of him.
Is Finn Balor a babyface?
I know where you're going to go with this, but I mean, In this match, yes, but you would think since he attacked Johnny Gargano when he made his comeback, he should be a heel. Maybe it's just
I'm legitimately just asking, like, has he turned again into a
I
face?
guess.
Because if he has, then what? Our next collision course would have to be for Finn to go for the NXT championship, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we talked about earlier this year because we thought it'd be a good matchup for Adam Cole at WrestleMania weekend because that was when Adam Cole was going to come across Finn Balor's original record for longest reigning NXT champion. So it made sense for him to go at it as a way to, Finn Balor's motivation is to prevent him from breaking his record. But now it's already broken. But still, they can still go back to that. They kind of teased it earlier this year. So
yeah, if he is in fact a babyface, which I'm legitimately asking the question, I don't know. Then I think that is something that we may see in short order.
Okay.
We had the NXT North American Championship, Keith Lee defending against Johnny TakeOver. Again, we talked about before the Doc Hendricks photo in Johnny's entrance. I loved him putting the key in his trunks. Just everything about this, and this was one of my favorite matches of the night, and it was tremendous. I legitimately thought Johnny was going to walk out with the North American Championship when he used the key and everything like that. And I thought, Keith Lee just continues to impress. But I have just one I told you so. We talked about the installation of the plexiglass around the ring. And what did I say? It's like, those things, man, that is for somebody to go through it. No doubt about it. And, well, John, it was you tonight to go through the plexiglass, courtesy of just a momentous pounce by Keith Lee. It was just awesome to see. I loved this match start to finish.
Remember, I'm trying to think of the game where it was like bouncing around. It's like a pinball machine right now with that move. But, first off, I want to thank the Garganos for loaning their house as the set for tonight. I thought that was pretty cool. He comes out of the kitchen out to the front of the ring. So that was very cool.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was good. Again, the presentation all night long was tremendous.
But yeah, Doc Hendricks, that photo took me back to, was it Saturday morning? Was it Live Wire? the Saturday morning show
Doc
Hendricks is hosting. I remember Doc Hendricks, and then all of a sudden people say, that's Michael Hayes. It's like, who's Michael Hayes? I was so young, I had no idea who the Freebirds.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought, that's Doc Hendricks. What are you talking about? And then one day they just started calling Michael Hayes on TV, and I was like, what? Who's Michael Hayes?
Yeah, if I had them to take, that is one thing. I was like, I wish he was just Michael Hayes and not Doc Hendricks. That is one thing I definitely wish that they had back. But, Doc Hendricks is very different on-screen character-wise than Michael Hayes was, for sure.
I was just gonna say, props to Keith Lee for his ring gear tonight.
Oh yes,
it said Black Lives Matter on his jacket and also the back of his trunk. So just kudos to him for just spreading that message out there, for considering all the events that we're going through right now. But the match itself, hard hitting, as I said, big guy versus little guy. I'm glad to see Keith Lee win just to keep his dominance going. And as we'll talk about the other matches, I'm concerned maybe some guys might be moving on to Raw or SmackDown. So I think Keith Lee is definitely moving on up as really becoming the new face of NXT. So this match was just great, just reminder of his dominance on the black and yellow brand.
Yeah, I just hope that I keep hoping that we're beyond the days of call-ups and stuff like that. Let NXT foster their roster. That's a nice little rhyme for you. And, let them carve out their own deal on NXT because, Keith Lee is killing it down there. And I want to continue to see him do that. He is one of the faces of the brand, and he's on an unparalleled run. I thought if he were to lose tonight that he was going to be the one to dethrone Adam Cole, should Adam Cole retain. But so right now, Keith Lee's still the NXT North American champion. That did take us to the last chance backlot brawl for said NXT championship. And I love a good backlot brawl like WrestleMania 12 and the Hollywood backlot. I was hoping that Velveteen Dream would sort of invoke a little bit of Gold Dust or maybe Roddy Piper in his attire tonight. But he came out rocking Negan style from Walking Dead, which was still very cool. I would have liked to hear him use some more Negan isms in his intro. But I thought that was awesome. This one, I think if there is any sort of complaints about it, sometimes it was hard to see the lights from the cars
Yeah.
and like the camera work and stuff. It was a little challenging at spots. But that being said, a lot of the action was good, but this was probably not my favorite match of the night.
Yeah, I was kind of, I was trying to do some social stuff in real time for us, and then I was looking up and watching it, and I was like, yeah, it didn't feel as epic as I thought it was gonna be. And that's the thing when you deal with these quote cinematic matches, you're really there's a lot of hands in the kitchen. So I think they're all not going to be perfect. They're all not going to be like we've seen in the past with some of the other cinematic matches. But I mean, it was definitely hard hitting. Use of weapons, and other people got involved. Like the
Yeah.
rest. Yeah, so we only saw 2 members of Undisputed Era come out. So is Kyle O'Reilly wasn't there, so I wonder where he was. Maybe pandemic, something. One of those reasons why he
The
couldn't come
pandemic
out.
sunrise.
Yeah, but the matches that was hard hitting. But yeah, I don't think it was. Yeah, it wasn't like the most oh my god moment. And actually, I was really surprised. It was what 4th match of the night, so it wasn't actually the main event. So not to break the 4th wall, but apparently this was filmed I think last week. So maybe they figure let's air it at this spot, just to kind of get it's like a little break in house for everyone to kind of just rest for a bit before the last 2 matches take off. But it was different. So for considering the pandemic and not having a crowd, I think it's a good way to mask the fact they have no fans there. So you go ahead and film a match off site somewhere, just because it really is just playing for us at home.
Totally.
And then of course Dexter Loomis's cameo.
I love Dexter Loomis, dude. I am all in on some Dexter Loomis. I just everything about that dude. I dig it. I like it.
And yeah, no, it was cool. Like you said, the cars around the ring, and everyone's making noise, honking, flashing their lights. So it was a different presentation.
Yeah,
but
more an Iron Circle match than a backlot brawl like the Hollywood one was. There were aspects of it that I liked. I could have done without the did somebody order an Uber deal, and I love Adam Cole and I love Velveteen Dream. They're tremendous, just absolutely top tier performers. This is the only time, though, tonight that I felt like, man, this match kind of going a little long. Because I think they just lost their way at certain points. But I love the visual of the Panama sunrise on all those chairs. Yeah. I would have lost my bleep in a bad way if Velveteen had kicked out of that, because that was just, whew, that was some tough stuff to take there. But I feel kind of bad for Velveteen Dream, because he, to me, at this point should already be an NXT champion. He's ready. And I guess, to sort of, when people speculate about where they're going, does that mean Velveteen Dream is going to get plucked from NXT's ranks and put on Raw or SmackDown? That's my fear. And I think creatively he's much better suited to stay with NXT, but I think he's going to be gone.
Exactly. I think that's something I think you and I discussed last week, and also just kind of looking online, a lot of people predicting the loser of this match was gonna, I won't say call up, but moved over or traded to
transferred
to Raw or SmackDown. And I really have a feeling, Velveteen Dream. I mean, at this point, what is there else for him to accomplish other than actually winning the NXT Championship? But you look at Matt Riddle. All he did was win the tag titles. He didn't win any singles titles. So in a way, I felt he had a lot of unfinished business. But nope, they feel like he's due for SmackDown. So he's going to be on SmackDown soon. Velveteen Dream, I think it's a similar situation. It's like, I think he's had plenty of big matches at takeovers and the week-to-week episodes of NXT. So I think they probably feel like, okay, let's take this character to the next level and bring him on Raw or SmackDown, which kind of sucks. I mean, I feel like he still came back from injury end of last year. And when he does, and since his time back, it's not like he's there every week. And that's what makes him so special. He appears every once in a while. And when it does, it has a big impact. And that's why I feel like there's still maybe some, he still has some momentum or stuff to do on NXT because of that, since he hasn't been around as much. I'm not burnt out with him on NXT.
Hell no.
I'm with you. It's like, I don't want him to leave. So with that being said, yeah, I mean, if we had to guess, he probably will be going to Raw or SmackDown soon. But for Adam Cole, dude, what a dominant year plus as champion. And yeah, who's going to actually dethrone him at some point?
Yeah, I think if I had to call it today, it would be Finn Balor. I think that again, if Keith Lee had not retained the NXT North American Championship, I would say it would be him. I'd actually be down for another sort of ultimate challenge with Keith Lee taking on Adam Cole, and maybe Keith ends up with both of them, and then we get another tournament that I love, maybe to crown a new North American champion. But I think right now I still see it as either being Finn Balor or Keith Lee to eventually dethrone Adam Cole for that NXT championship. We got the TakeOver debut of Karrion Kross with Scarlett Bordeaux, or just Scarlett as she is right now known in NXT. This entrance was maybe my favorite part of the whole damn deal, because that was Scarlett Bordeaux calls herself the Smoke Show, and she absolutely lived up to that billing. As JR said about Ken Shamrock, it's not a marketing ploy. She is the real McCoy. Woo! And just like the presentation of it's so creepy, it's so spot on. I just thought, this is how you make a TakeOver entrance, and to be able to have that aura about it with no real crowd is impressive. So that was just really, really well done in my opinion. And I know it was almost a squash match. I think Phillips said on commentary that Karrion Kross routed Tommaso Ciampa, and I enjoyed watching it. And I love Ciampa, but I thought this was what it needed to be. Karrion Kross is scary. He's another one of those characters that I think, like The Fiend, is a legitimately scary character, and enhanced by Scarlett's sort of creepy factor, because what she does, the way she moves, it's also purposeful, and it is so unsettling. It is that sort of temptation from like the devil's advocate or whatever sort of thing that you want to put it in. It is forbidden, and that comes across. And if I may suggest to them, rip off Katrina from Lucha Underground in a sort of respect, is that when Kross wins, you don't necessarily have to do the lick of death like Katrina did, but do something with Scarlett over your fallen foe akin to that. And I think that would really just be the sort of cherry on top of what is already a phenomenal presentation of a character. What did you think?
Real quick before I forget, and this is something we haven't discussed yet on the show, but a lot of people brought up. Do you think this whole partnership or relationship between Kross and Scarlett, is it almost like a Sable, Reno, or and Mark Marrow situation here 2.0? Just because, as far as Scarlett might be the bigger of the two eventually. like Sable was with Mark Marrow. She became more popular.
It's funny talking about Scarlett in that sense. I've discussed with people like 4 Year Run in terms of how this is the perfect time for her to be in WWE, because no one else is doing what she can do, which is be that sort of just unrelenting sex appeal. Yep. There is a market for it now, because the WWE has pivoted so far away from that it is novel. It is that, what you said earlier, what is old is new again. I would not disrespect Karrion Killer Kross by comparing him to sort of Mark Marrow in that relationship, because Killer Kross is a legitimate, he's the goods in terms of pro wrestling. And I see a lot of legs for his character. He might not be as leggy as Scarlett, but I see a bright future for both of them. And this going back in terms of when we talked about free agents that we'd like to see land in AEW or whatever, Killer Kross has been on the top of my mind to either end up in NXT or AEW for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I hope he stays in NXT, because what we saw tonight is, I think, what they will allow him to do in NXT. And I'm just so excited to see it unfurl.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already thinking at a future takeover with an actual audience, like an arena, like how we talked about last week, War Machine, or Viking Raiders, whatever they're called now.
The Viking Experience.
Viking Experience. But we were there at that takeover with that huge entrance and like with the drums and like the fire. It's like, imagine Karrion Kross coming out to a similar, just big, over-the-top entrance in an arena, or who knows, down the road, years from now, at a WrestleMania in a stadium, what he could do coming out with pyro and lights and the big just smoke show. Like, the potential with him is amazing. It's just
the
like
NXT fan base, I think, would treat his entrance like they did with Bobby Roode. I think everybody will be bought in immediately on the fall and pray kind of deal, and that's going to add another level to it. But again, the chills that I got watching them come out tonight with no real crowd, very impressive.
Well, and so that was just the highlight, and just, oh my God, Scarlett Bordeaux with that full body suit. Whew, I mean,
almost that was more. It's funny that you bring up Sable. I thought that was more shades of Tori when she took on Sable at WrestleMania 15, I believe it was.
I think so. Yeah.
That was more shades of that.
But still, just that outfit. I'm like, oh my God, like, just
we haven't seen that for a while.
Yeah,
we haven't been allowed to.
Like, in your house.
Wake up, little Jimmy. It's back.
But I just, together. I mean, Karrion Kross, he's a big, intimidating, just badass. But also, I think Scarlett just adds a whole new layer to his entrance. Like, she really just helps sell that intimidation factor. It's like the Beast and or Beauty and the Beast almost, in a way. Just as far as he comes out, and then she comes down first. He comes out, stands in the ring, just this big presence, and then she comes through his legs, like a little reminder, like, I'm still here. And just the contrast of their styles, it's such a beautiful, but also just an amazing, just entrance. And this is us just talking about an entrance. I mean, it's been a minute since we had like a real over the top entrance like that. So, and for the match itself, it was definitely a little bit of a shocker how short it was. I guess you could call it a bit of a squash, but that's a great way to kind of establish him. He had these dominant squash matches on NXT, the weekly show, and now he took out arguably the face of NXT, or one of the faces of NXT from the last few years, former NXT champion, one of the most dominant, intimidating personalities in recent memory was Tommaso Ciampa. So the fact he did that to him, that's his way of letting the whole roster in the WWE universe, the NXT universe, let everyone know that he's here. Like, he's here to do some damage.
Yeah, Karrion Kross, a force to be reckoned with. The main event of NXT TakeOver in your house was a triple threat for the NXT Women's Championship. The champion Charlotte Flair, who I guess still goes to NXT every now and then, Io Shirai, and Rhea Ripley. This absolutely earned its place as the main event. They delivered in the ring. Phenomenal work from all three of these ladies. I loved this main event. I loved that Io Shirai is your newly crowned NXT Women's Champion. You're such a fan of hers, and again, going back to Lucha Underground when she had a few appearances there, and I love that she took to the sky off the top of the house at In Your House. It was just really cool. A quick note before I kick it over to you. I hope Rhea Ripley is okay, because she took all of that moonsault on the chin at the end, it looked like. That was kind of a scary moment, but a crowning moment for Io Shirai. And I think, the experiment of Charlotte as NXT Women's Champion, I get the logic. I think they're trying to put, maybe more eyeballs on NXT, give the Charlotte factor. Yeah. I would have just loved to see them be more committed to that she was on NXT, and I don't feel like we really got that. So I'm glad that if that's what they were going to do, then yes, we should move on and have a new champion. So congrats to Io Shirai. But what did you think?
Yeah, like I was just going to say, as far as the Charlotte NXT title reign here, so for the last couple months now since WrestleMania, it was okay. But as you said, she was on all three brands a lot. She was on Raw, I think, every week still. She was on SmackDown a couple times. She was on NXT here and there. So she was not, it seemed like, fully committed or fully just solely on NXT only. Like, it wasn't special as far as when she showed up to NXT. It's like, oh, we saw her already. We saw her 2 days ago on Raw, or, oh, we're going to see her 2 days again later on SmackDown. So it was like we saw a lot of her. So I just wonder if fans just got a little bit of a burnout factor with that, as far as her just constantly being in our face. Don't get me wrong. I love Charlotte. She's one of the all-time greats. Athleticism, all that stuff. I love watching her. She delivered tonight. But going back to like what makes someone special is we don't get like going back to Velveteen Dream, when we don't see someone all the time, when they do show up, it makes it that much more special. So granted, she wasn't on NXT all the time, but like I said, she would be on Raw instead or SmackDown. So we got to see her every week.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel as special of a title reign, I felt. Like I said, I think they were trying to, like, someone from Raw or SmackDown is now on NXT as the champion. So to compete with the AEW, is that the AEW effect? Who knows? But the powers that be decided that. But yeah, it was not. I think it was a good experiment, and maybe that's something they could try out down the road with other people on Raw or SmackDown who maybe not getting enough TV time. They can go back to NXT and challenge for different titles. So maybe this is the beginning of a new working relationship with all the shows, the different brands. But the match itself was very entertaining. I think Charlotte losing it the way she did, she still looks strong because technically she was in the figure 4. So Ripley got the pin, even though she took it on the face hard with the knee to the face. She ate the pin. So Charlotte technically did not lose by getting pinned. So Charlotte can walk away still being booked very strong. But the match itself, I mean, all three of them, I always get kind of worried with triple threats.
Yeah.
As far as I'm like you, very old school. One-on-one competition's always the best, but triple threat can get kind of messy because I think two people can go at it, and then when one gets tired, they roll out of the ring, and someone else comes in. So it's like speed bumps, or you kind of lose momentum when two people have chemistry together. Someone else can jump in and interfere. But the three of them, they kicked ass. And using the set, as you said, Charlotte threw Io through the window, and then she disappeared and showed up again atop of the roof. That awesome spot, just jumping off it, and then her finisher in the ring. Just it made for a very entertaining match. And I was really surprised this show was under 3 hours, like I think 2.5. So hey, they came and went and delivered a big entertaining show for us. And so I'm really happy for Io Shirai. She's been on NXT for a while now, and it was kind of like always on the outside looking in for the title shot. And, she definitely was under the Shayna Baszler tear of her time as champion. So I'm happy for her and really excited what she can do as champion now. Because I was thinking if she lost, she might go to Raw or SmackDown. But I'm glad that she's probably going to be on NXT for a little bit longer now.
Yeah, congrats to the Genius of the Sky. I think she's right where she needs to be. Overall thought on NXT TakeOver in your house. I think that this is the greatest show that we've gotten in the no-fan era.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was that good. I just top to bottom. Like you said, the runtime was easily digestible. The matches were great. We got a good mix of style of matches. Again, the nostalgic presentation. This, to me, was the tops of what we've gotten since the shutdown. And that is no disrespect to some of the great shows like Double or Nothing or WrestleMania that we've gotten, and the Money in the Bank and all that stuff. But this, to me, was the best tonight. It was really, really special.
Well, it definitely was a feel-good moment, I think, as far as the entertainment value. They knew, okay, we're bringing back an old brand, the In Your House brand, and what else from that time period that existed that we can bring with it. And so the nostalgia, like I said before, what's old is new as far as, the permission, what was it? Promotional consideration brought to you by, or all that stuff, and the ice cream bars, and just the use of old graphics and just stuff that we were seeing in the 90s. So I think anyone over the age of 25, this show felt special because it's like, it was fan service, and that's awesome. And I think that's something, like I said, there are a lot of trolls out there and critics who can hate on WWE all they want. But at times like this, it shows that WWE does listen to their fans and will find ways to cater to them when it's needed.
Yeah, well said. And yeah, I loved this takeover, and I think it'll be one that is held in very high regard as we look back on, in terms of being able to deliver a show in which I really forgot the time that we were in. It wasn't obvious to me, and I know we had some people out in the crowd, the other performers and stuff like that, but no other show that I've watched so far has made me forget that there wasn't a live audience, a true live audience, than this show.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. NXT TakeOver in your house, in my opinion, a smashing success.